Alright, so this is my Berserker Righteous Fire Crymore build. Basically has three main parts. It's got the Righteous Fire, it's got the Abyssal Cry, and my Vortex for the single target damage. This is pretty much my farewell build to double dipping, so try to go as crazy as I could with Vortex since that scales off of spell damage as well, so I can get that just disgusting double dipping off of Righteous Fire. Now, the reason I chose Berserker is because of the Warbringer node. Basically, I can Warcry every 2 seconds, and it recovers 25% of my life and mana. So, if I'm really on top of things, I can recover about 10 to 12.5% life every second, which is pretty ridiculous for just an Ascendancy. And because I'm also recovering mana, I'm also going for Mind Over Matter, so I just have that bit extra life pool, so I pretty much have like 6k life or so. Nothing crazy, but it's alright. Then using the classic Orb of Storms combo with Elemental Overload, and with Orb of Storms I'm also linking it with Elemental Weakness and Crit Strikes. It procs the Elemental Overload a bit more, so that basically lowers enemies' resistances by a good chunk. Now, then just go over quickly on my gloves. Got Righteous Fire with Elemental Focus, Area, Increased Burning, nothing crazy. And I also have the Essence, so I get the 30% more damage over time, which is just nice. Then I'm also using 3 dragons, so that it makes my Vortex ignite. And because the spell damage Vortex modifiers to spell damage applied to skills damage over time, so that also affects Ignite, so that's pretty nice. I'm using 3 dragons, so I can continue to use Elemental Equilibrium. So if I use Hrimburn, adds fire damage, or sorry, that adds fire damage, or cold, whatever. Basically means I can't use Elemental Overload as well. So using the king, 3 dragons for that. Cold damage, so my cold damage can ignite. Now, using the Rise of Phoenix, just because get that fire res. Doriana's Catalyst. This isn't required, but I had the currency and decided to drop it on it, so it works. Now, I'm also using Hidden Potential, so I'm using a couple blue items just to eke out a lot more just raw damage to double dip. So I also got a Avian Twins, so I'm also quite resistant to lightning damage as well, since my fire resistance is quite high. Just life, bit of life with good resist, more life, fire res, move speed, cold res, nothing crazy. Nice thing with Hidden Potential, you don't need crazy stuff and it's still pretty sweet. I'm also running Essence Worms since I'm going Mind Over Matter, just try to reserve, just have as much free mana as possible. Also means if I ever do get like a level 21 Purity of Fire, it's going to bump it up to 5 maximum res, fire res, which will be pretty nice. So with Vortex, I'm just linking it with Controlled Destruction, Chestnut Ignite, Concentrated Effect, and Iron Will. If I had a high level in power, I'd swap these, or when I get a 6 link, I'll put them both on, but Iron Will is just a decent 100 increased spell damage. On Rise of Phoenix, got the Shield Charge, Fortify, Faster Attacks, pretty basic. Then for Abyssal Cry, just increase area, avoid manipulation and poison. Now the AoE nerfs hit Abyssal Cry real hard, but it's still really good for clearing out breaches, or when shit hits the fan, you just gotta wipe the screen pretty much. Got good old Lightning Trap for even more damage. Enduring Cry, I pretty much use Enduring Cry pretty much all the time to keep my life regenning, since I am still losing a bit of life. With my Stone Golem up and my Purity of Fire, it goes down pretty slow. So Enduring Cry is pretty much there to keep it going. I could also just use Abyssal Cry, but my Righteous Fire does enough damage that it's not too big of a deal. So let's just go run a Canyon map. Now I should have enough fire res so I won't be hit too hard by the elemental weakness, but my other resistances are pretty low, so it'll be important for me to keep my Enduring Cry up, just to cap out my resistances. Because right now they're on 59, so I still need another 16 points or so. So with 4 endurance charges, it'll cap out. As you can see, the Righteous Fire damage isn't too shabby. And for flasks, I'm using a good old Witchfire Brew just for that extra vulnerability curse and increased damage over time. Pretty nice. A good old Quicksilver, Granite, and just a Ruby Flask. Nothing crazy here.
I cannot do this yet.
Now these have monster life, so they're not going down as quick as normal, but this is a good old Ignite from the Vortex. I do have a chance to Ignite on it, so it doesn't always work all the time. But it works well enough. Might be crying a bit more. I do have like the good old on my flask, just make sure to roll freeze, bleed, and what's the other one I got? Warding. Just because having a vulnerability curse on you kind of hurts a little bit. But generally this build has enough regen through the cries and whatnot to run maps with kind of one mod that kind of disadvantageous. Like, oh, this might be bad. Where's that chicken? I'll Ignite one day. Oh, well, good enough. Yeah, so don't want to have too many bad mods like minus max, reduce regen. Like no regen you really shouldn't do. It'll be real hard to keep it up, but probably not impossible since you'll have be doing about 12 damage a second, and with your Enduring Cry you can kind of mitigate about 10%. And Enduring Cry also gives a good base life regen whenever you use it, and normally the base duration is at like 0.75, but with Berserker it gets bumped up to about 1.65 there. So, just a quick run through of that map. Let's just go run a Mud Geyser. What the heck, let's have some fun with it and pop some Beyond and Breach on there. What's a fear? Where the heck it's got the stuff. Try not to rip, I guess. So, what else? There's nothing else too crazy going on. Just maybe showcase the Abyssal Cry a bit more on this map. Now this is on Enfeeble, so we're doing as much damage, but it's still fine. More important to have my flask up at all times, pretty much here. Fortify up.
I cannot do this yet.
This is my first Righteous Fire build. Oh, that's not good. So I go, what's my bleed flask? Alright. Now Host is pretty much the most dangerous guy for me since I don't really have that much cold res. And pretty sure my HP pot's my freeze. Yeah, it is. Okay.
My money.
And I'm dead. Good job. found a cost per well. That's always good.